Real artists ship. Those three words in a recent New York Times piece on AI and specifically AI programming caught my eye, and I thought I'd share a few insights. Hi everyone, David G here with you again, 3-second selling guy. So apparently this real artist ship is an old programming axiom and ties back to Steve Jobs, who famously believed that finishing and releasing something matters more than endlessly refining it or perfecting it. You don't say. Oh, okay, mea culpa, because I don't struggle with ideas. I struggle with endings. I start fast. I see patterns quickly. I generate concepts almost on command, but finishing, well, that sometimes is another story. Finishing is where the friction lives, especially with something deeply personal, like my 3-second selling book that I've shared with you that has been a work in progress for longer than I will care to admit. So a bit of this is perfection paralysis. It's sneaky. It doesn't feel like fear. It feels more like standards. That's kind of what I'd call it. I tell myself I'm being thoughtful, strategic, disciplined, deliberate, right? But as an author coach once told me, polishing is often procrastination wearing a tuxedo. I love that. Polishing is procrastination wearing a tuxedo. Because shipping forces exposure, right? It invites judgment. When you ship, the work stops being yours alone. It becomes a mirror, a signal, a stake in the ground. And that's where many creators quietly stall. Not because we lack ability, but maybe because we slightly fear the moment the work becomes real. Still trying to figure that out. However, Steve Jobs understood something many of us resist. Momentum beats perfection. Now, in the early days of Apple, products shipped with some very rough edges, but they were finished. And he knew that finishing created gravity. It pulled feedback forward. It created learning loops. It built credibility. It built a market. For example, when the first Macintosh launched in 1984, it changed personal computing overnight. It had a graphical interface. It had a mouse. It had beautiful typography. But underneath the hood, it was severely underpowered. Everybody knew it. It shipped with just 128K of RAM, no internal hard drive, very limited software support. Lots of developers immediately complained that it wasn't really for serious work, wasn't really practical, but everybody knew it needed more, even Apple engineers. But Steve Jobs pushed it out anyway. Why? The Mac needed to establish a new computing paradigm before the competition caught up. Now, within a year, Apple had released the new Macintosh 512K, essentially a fast follow that fixed that biggest flaw, 512K, obviously. The first Mac wasn't perfect, but it shipped and it created the category. Lesson: ship the breakthrough, iterate the infrastructure, go back and evolve it, right? Whether it's a book or something else. Nothing improves in a vacuum. So how does this look in the attention economy? Well, it's especially true. Ideas don't matter until they're visible. Frameworks don't help people until you've shared them. Insights don't compound until they are released into the world. My unfinished book is helping no one. It's sitting in 31,000 words on my computer, right? So the whole premise is with 3-second selling lens is that attention precedes trust. But there's that quiet corollary, right? You can't earn attention with work you never release. You can't earn trust with work you never release, right? Not going to happen. Unshipped work has zero velocity, and velocity is what creates connection. Connection is what creates opportunity. And the irony here is that shipping doesn't lower standards. It raises them. Think about that. Shipping doesn't lower standards. It raises them. Because once something is real, you care about it more. You refine faster. You listen harder. You improve publicly. And public improvement builds trust far more than private perfection ever will. getting it out there, iterating it, changing it, improving it is a better process than me back here by myself in my office doing endless revisions and iterations. The best creators I know, they don't wait for certainty. They build in public. They iterate in motion. They create version 1 as the beginning and not the final verdict. They understand one simple equation. Finished is better than perfect. That doesn't mean reckless. It means honest. It means clear enough to help someone today instead of being flawless someday in the future. A future that sometimes never even arrives, right? Now, for me, this lands squarely on my book, as I said. Every chapter that sits in a folder instead of a reader's hands is unrealized impact. Every delay trades clarity for comfort, and comfort is expensive if your mission is to elevate people through clarity. So maybe the real lesson behind real artistship isn't about software or startups at all. It's about courage, which Steve Jobs had a lot of. The courage to declare something done, the courage to be seen mid-journey, the courage to let the work breathe without you hovering over it. Because finished work moves, and moving work changes people. So, takeaways. Number 1, process compounds only after release. Growth accelerates the moment your work meets the real world. Feedback beats speculation every single time. Perfection is often fear in disguise. Number 2, if you keep refining without really clear improving a process, you're not polishing. You might simply be hiding instead. Number 3, shipping builds identity. Every finished project rewires how you see yourself, how the world sees you, not as someone who starts, but as someone who finishes, someone who delivers. Now, 3 calls to action. We learn in 3s, right? Ship one thing in the next 7 days. Not perfect, not exhaustive, just useful. Momentum loves deadlines. Define your done line. Decide in advance what finished looks like for a project. Clarity kills endless tweaking. And finally, trade private perfection for public process. Trade private perfection for public process. Let people see the evolution. Trust grows when improvement is visible. Because in the end, the creators who make the biggest impact aren't necessarily the most original, the most brilliant, the smartest. They are, in fact, the ones who finish. So good luck. We'll see you at the finish line. Let me know how this lands. Share it with someone if you think they could benefit from it. And I will see you on the journey. So long, everyone. Take care. And we'll meet back here for another edition of 3 Second Selling.